This segment brought to you by SureCrop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now we learn about the latest farm bill with Dwayne James and Bill Bean.
Dwayne James joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and an opportunity to catch up with Bill Bean at USDA and working in the farm programs division. Obviously, farm bill pretty important to a lot of producers across the country, but give us a little background on your particular position and what you do, Bill.
Okay. So I am, like we said, Deputy Administrator for Farm Programs. And let me back up if I can. Prior to being Deputy Administrator, I was and am a farmer from Eastern Pennsylvania. So I'm about 30 miles west of Philadelphia, farm in Chester County, where I grow row crops. I grow corn, soybeans, wheat, some hay, few head of cattle on about 4,000 acres there in southeastern PA.
I suspect having that background from a grower's perspective, it's kind of nice to have people that are affected by programs now in charge of those programs.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. So, and that is part of the goal, from what I understand, of Secretary Perdue, to have farmers in those key decision-making places that affect farmers like myself and ranchers to have a farmer's perspective as we apply policy. So, last summer, I got a phone call from Richard Fordyce, FSA Administrator. He said, Bill, I need a Deputy Administrator to help us with policy. We're coming out with a new farm bill, hopefully soon, which, as you know, was signed here on December the 20th. And we are currently right in the middle of implementing that farm bill and rolling that out for all the farmers and ranchers and landowners here in the U.S.
We think about the unfortunate circumstance the government shutdown didn't help anything in that regard of getting it rolled out. But ultimately, those policy things are straightened out in D.C. and then all the way out to the D.C. at the county office.
That's right. So, yeah, shutdown was a bit of a roadblock, I guess, for the time being. But I can tell you, rest assured, that Farm Bill is going to roll out in a timely fashion. In fact, from what I understand, the Secretary announced some dates yesterday as to when some of the programs are going to start sign up. From my perspective, we've been working diligently. The dairy program, we had teams in twice so far. We're well into rolling out the new DMC program, which I believe is going to be a step up from the previous program that we have. And that will be starting here this summer with sign up on that. As far as the other programs, we're working on the matrix, which is literally hundreds of questions as we go through. It starts with me as Deputy Administrator. We go through some of the questions, and as the questions become maybe elevated, should we say, we will lift them to the administrator, then up to the undersecretary, and of course, the Secretary of Agriculture, of course, has a final say on policy.
In reality, the majority of those questions can be handled at the local office. They get the training to do those implementation things. Great thing from what I have heard, very similar to the previous farm bill that we were under, so there's not a ton of changes that growers have to evaluate or make determinations on.
Yeah, you're correct about that. This farm bill, from what I understand, has probably had maybe less changes than some previous farm bills. Obviously, 2014, we came out with the ARC PLC, which was a huge lift for our people here in D.C. But I would say probably this year, from that perspective, the dairy program probably has the largest changes.
We think about ultimately having that safety net. Growers across the country during those farm bill discussions before the new one was written was we've got to have a strong safety net program. Crop insurance a big part of that, and Congress took care of that, and now USDA will implement.
That's right. And so we don't oversee RMA or crop insurance from our perspective, but we do work closely with those partners. One of the things that you're going to see with the new ARC County is that we're going to be able to use RMA data now as far as yields go, as opposed to using NAS in the previous. Our producers, as we listen to them, have suggested that we use RMA data And that's how we're going to be rolling out this farm bill in most counties, not all counties. If we don't have that information available to us, obviously we can't use it.
Our thanks to Bill Beam joining us here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses in rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery, and so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months. And I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously. So I'm tickled to death with the results, and I'd recommend this process to anyone.